Part 134. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1331. The female stars were all speechless and envious. The second master personally confirmed that it was Zhou Tao who initiated the divorce. The second master was kicked, but he still wanted to save the relationship. That was the second master who was above the clouds. Why is the second master so humble? What does Zhou Tao have besides a face? In short, after the sexy second master refuted the rumors online, there has been a lot less gossip in the circle. How high is the second master's status in the circle, and how many people in this circle follow his lead? If he hears any rumors, if he spreads it to second master, maybe those who spread rumors will be banned. As a result, Zhou Tao suddenly became the envy of all women. The news of Zhou Tao's injury reached the ears of Mr. Liu. He rushed from Kyoto to Heikan to visit her. Hearing that she was injured because of Lu Wenzhou, he cursed Lu Wenzhou in front of her and said that Lu Wenzhou was not worthy of her. Second Master Liu is not the first person to say that he is not worthy. He is used to it. Mr. Liu added, "Daisy, you were injured because of that kid. After you are discharged from the hospital, you have to live with him and let him take care of you." Zhou Tao said no need. Lu Wenzhou actually didn't insist. After being discharged from the hospital 2 days later, Zhou Tao was sent home by Lu Wenzhou. When she saw Wang Hui carrying 2 suitcases into her house, she was a little puzzled. "I seem to have only 1 suitcase." Lu Wenzhou said calmly, "The other one is mine. You are injured and need someone to take care of you. You were injured because of me, so you can only let me take care of you." Zhou Tao replied quickly, "No, I stayed in the hospital for a few days. I can walk now and don't need anyone to take care of me." Lu Wenzhou entered the kitchen. Mr. Liu, who had attended the 7-day crash course in cooking, couldn't wait to find an internship opportunity. "What do you want to eat?" Zhou Tao stood at the door of the kitchen, looking at his tall figure, with mixed emotions. "Can you do it?" Lu Wenzhou was holding a kitchen knife. He was too elite and incompatible with this smoky place. His voice was as calm as a winter night. "I think so." On a winter night, for the first time in her life, Zhou Tao ate food cooked by Lu Wenzhou himself. There was no mistake, no mistakes like using salt instead of sugar, and it tasted very homely. Zhou Tao was in a daze. In her lifetime, she could still sit on both sides of the dining table with Lu Wenzhou calmly, chatting calmly about her work. For example, her movie is very likely to be shortlisted for the Golden Lion Award. For example, many powerful directors in the industry who cannot afford to buy it have expressed their appreciation for her after watching her movie. Zhou Tao, who is only a 23-year-old girl, naturally had her happiness written on her face when her beloved career was recognized by others, and then she talked about some interesting things about the crew while filming this movie. Probably because this drama has done well at the box office and has the possibility of being nominated, Zhou Tao has been in a good mood recently and has been talking to Lu Wenzhou a lot. Lu Wenzhou helped her peel the shrimps and listened to her quietly. The cold wind was raging outside the window, and under the warm light, the corners of her eyes and eyebrows seemed to be filled with spring. He heard the ice between them seem to melt away. In different apartments, there was the same pair of lovers. When Xiao was sitting on the sofa in the bedroom, holding the thick notebook given to her by her uncle. Click, the bathroom door opened and closed, and she instinctively looked up. The man's lower body was wrapped in a bath towel, his mermaid line was reflected in the light, and his 8-pack abs were clearly visible. When Xiao leaned lazily and curled her fingers at him. "Come here, I'll blow dry your hair." Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1332. Fu Nanli grinned at her teeth and flirted again. She always flirted like this without realizing it, and she didn't have a long memory. The man walked over. Wen Qiao picked up the hair dryer and worked conscientiously to dry his hair. Fu Nanli was absent-minded, pinching a section of her ankle that was white to transparent, and staring at her feet. The soles of the feet were red and shiny, and the toes were round and cute, like a baby with breasts, but everything he says and does is straighter than the man he is. Well, if she were more delicate, I don't know how many more love rivals she would have, so that would be just right. The man's hair was short and he was done in a short time. Wen Qiao wanted to help him blow for a while, but his wrist was caught by the man's strong force and he was pushed onto the sofa. His face was getting closer and closer, and Wen Qiao's heart beat rapidly. Suddenly, the ringtone of the cell phone came. Wen Qiao was very worried about the person on the other end of the phone. Young Master Fu was very unhappy. The other person was going to suffer. Fu Nanli answered the phone, his voice colder than the winter outside the window. "What's the matter?" Fu Chuan felt the chill in his voice, but he still had to say, "Don't we have a railway construction project in Dubai?" "Explain." Fu Chuan quickly explained the problem concisely. "We have a railway project in Dubai. Half of the workers employed are Chinese and half are locals. Today, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon local time, a Dubai worker fell from a crane. He came down and died. A local construction contractor wanted to cause trouble, so he called a lot of people to make trouble in our construction section. Several of our engineers and managers were injured. The situation is very serious now." Fu Nanli frowned. "How are you now?" "There was a big conflict. The troublemakers were some of the more powerful local people. Although there are many of us, you know, a strong dragon cannot overwhelm a local snake. Nan Li, I plan to fly to Dubai immediately. Do you want to come with me? Go. After all, it is a major matter and may affect the diplomatic relations between the two countries. This matter cannot be ignored." Fu Nanli immediately called Qin Bei and asked him to go upstairs to pack his luggage. He was going to fly to Dubai, and Wen Qiao wanted to go with him. Fu Nanli rubbed her hair while buttoning her shirt. "There is chaos over there, so don't follow it." Wen Qiao held his wrist. "I'm not worried." Fu Nanli couldn't resist her, so he took her to fly to Dubai. This time Fu Nanli brought a lot of people, including the group's legal affairs, lawyer consultants, finance, assistant secretaries, and some replacement engineers and technicians, more than 40 people in total. Wen Qiao slept on the plane. It was Fu Nanli's private plane, but Fu Nanli didn't sleep. He had been listening to Fu Chuan and the legal people analyzing the seriousness of this incident. They all know who is causing trouble, and even though they are making trouble, they do not express their demands. The worker failed to take safety measures and fell from the crane and died. The person in charge of the Zhonghuan Group's Dubai branch had long promised compensation, but his family seemed to have been instigated and did not mention compensation. Know how to cause trouble. They probably feel that if the matter gets too big, they can get more benefits. They all know that this is a railway built by China's top wealthy people in Dubai, and the money they can get is absolutely astronomical. At the entrance of the construction unit, several black Bentley cars drove slowly. Fu Nanli was sitting in the car and saw the black crowd surrounding the wall, and then he realized the seriousness of the matter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1333. Those people quickly gathered around and lay on the car. The workers and bodyguards in the construction unit and the local police worked hard to maintain order so that the car could drive inside. Bang dong, bricks and small stones hit the car windows, and those people yelled and made a fuss at the car angrily. The construction units here are all building temporary mobile houses, but they are also very well built. A group of local senior engineers, construction directors, managers, and supervisors stood at the door of the unit, respectfully welcoming their Mr. Fu. Fu Nanli got out of the car, followed closely by Qin Bei and Songan. They looked around cautiously and escorted his young master and Wen Qiao into the house. The conference room in the mobile home was originally quite spacious, but with dozens of people crammed into it, it suddenly became very crowded. Fu Nanli sat in the upper seat and glanced at the construction director here. Tell me what the specific situation is. Construction director Yin Chaiwu wiped his sweat. When we bid for the railway project here, there was also a large local company in Dubai called Mbu that bid with us. In the end, they lost, so the president of that company has always been worried about it. I want to use this incident to make things bigger. Our construction has only been done for more than 3 months and is in the initial stage. If things really get bigger, the local government will have to worry about this and may transfer the project to Mbu Corporation. Fu Nanli frowned deeply. Yin Chaiwu added, we have been trying to communicate with the families of the deceased employees today, but the people at Mbu seemed to be one step ahead of us and brainwashed them. The family members felt that the bigger the matter became, the better it would be for them. We will get higher compensation. Now the situation is very unfavorable to us. If it is on the local news channel, the local people will definitely help the local people. Fu Nanli put his slender fingers on his temples, and the veins on his wrists were slightly bulging. It was obvious that he was very unhappy. After the accident, the first step was to find the family members and negotiate compensation. They actually let their opponents take the lead. What is it if it's not trash? Fu Nanli's project this time is to open up the West Asian market. He currently has little influence here. The project has only been started for 3 months, and something like this happened. It is indeed a stalemate. Fu Chuan suddenly thought of something and said, Nan Li, there is a wealthy Chinese businessman here in Dubai, surnamed Yuan. He came here to develop in the early years. Their ancestors have some relationship with the Fu family. Let me contact him. Fu Nanli nodded, well, you should contact Mr. Yin first. Make an appointment with someone from the local government here and I will talk to them. Okay, Mr. Fu, I'll make an appointment for you right now. Fu Chuan made a phone call outside for 20 minutes. The person named Yuan over there was perfunctory. Everyone knew what kind of power the Fu family was in Haikan, but his family was not in Haikan now. They had already taken root in Dubai. He would not offend a powerful local family just for the sake of a Fu family. The prince of the Fu family seems to still be unaware of the dangers in the world. Fu Chuan was a little annoyed, but helping others is a matter of love and not helping you is a duty. He had no way to morally kidnap the other person. He only said, I just hope that Mr. Yuan will not encounter any trouble in the country or in Haikan in the future. The people over there smiled sarcastically, Mr. Fu, don't embarrass us, we have difficulties too. Fu Chuan hung up the phone directly. If this route didn't work, then they would have no other connections in Dubai. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1334. Some people from the local government came and held a meeting with Fu Nanli, because they were the ones who attracted investment to the Fu family. They must have wanted to appease the Fu family, but some local people were not controlled by the government at all. The local government wants to build this section of the railway. The Amato family, a conglomerate family here, has always been a bad businessman. In the past few years, some of their properties in the south often had problems. A bridge they built before was destroyed by a car in 3 years. The truck was crushed and it was a shoddy project. They must protect the Fu family and confront the Iban family no matter what. This meeting has been going on for 5 hours. I actually have no clue. Just appease the family. If the family doesn't comply, just suppress it. Things will get even bigger. The Iban family has found a lot of gangsters. Those people are not even afraid of going to jail. They are out to make trouble. They have all been brainwashed, saying that the Fu Family Consortium is a foreign consortium that wants to usurp their resources, and that the leadership voice of their country will eventually be controlled by the Fu family. Fu Nanli, he doesn't participate in politics, so he doesn't want a voice. He is just an ordinary businessman who wants to make some money. He just wants to make the Fu family's market bigger. The beating, smashing, and looting continued outside, and the police were exhausted and did not dare to do anything to the people. The local people listened to the Iban family's lies and thought that the construction of the railway by this foreign consortium would make them homeless and even deprive them of their rights. The common people also came to make trouble, and the trouble became bigger and bigger. Seeing that Fu Nanli couldn't figure out anything during the meeting with the police, Wen Qiao remembered the Qasim she had rescued before, and called Qasim with the intention of giving it a try. The people over there heard that it was Wen Qiao, which was called enthusiastic, and when Wen Qiao said this, Qasim immediately said that he would help with this. Wen Qiao said, "If you feel embarrassed, you don't need to help, because you are all entrepreneurs here. If you help me and endanger the Iban family, I will feel bad." Haha, Dr. Wen, you are wrong. Our family and the Iban family have never been very good at dealing with each other. This time we have such an opportunity, so let's show off our cards. The Qasim family is also related to the royal family. He is also one of the richest families in the United Arab Emirates. He does not have to worry about the IBN family. And because Wen Qiao was his savior, he was worried that he would never have a chance to repay him. His savior had already called him. How could he not help with such a small effort? Several leaders of the local government there promised Fu Nanli that they would suppress the trouble this time, so that he could rest assured. How can Fu Nanli feel relieved? Something like this happened just after the project started. Even if the police suppressed it this time, what about next time? Will the Iban family cause trouble every now and then? That would greatly affect his project and schedule. Fu Chuan came in and whispered a few words in his ear. The UN family doesn't want to help. A cold light flashed in Fu Nanli's eyes. Fu Chuan added, "I heard my grandfather talk about it. When the UN family was still in Haikan, something happened once. It was your grandfather who helped them through the crisis with money. A drop of kindness should be repaid by a spring. Now that they have moved their family to Dubai, they are actually ungrateful." Ha, the saying "no business is good" could not be more appropriate when applied to the UN family. Fu Nanli pressed his temples. Since the UN family is useless, let's think of other ways. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1335. Fu Chuan's face was gloomy with worry. If he didn't give the Iban family a shock this time, there would be endless troubles. It's a pity that the Fu family is here in Dubai, and they started to cause trouble before their network of connections could be spread. When Fu Nanli came over, he didn't sleep on the plane. He worked for 10 hours straight after arriving. Now he was exhausted. Wen Qiao pulled him and said to Mr. Yin, "Get a room here for him to sleep for a while. Come on, he must be very tired." Fu Nanli was forcibly pulled by Wen Qiao to the guest room prepared by Yin Chaiwu for them. It was simple, with upper and lower iron frame beds, giving the feeling of a house with 4 walls. The bed was also a bit short, and Fu Nanli's long legs could not stretch out. Wen Qiao closed the curtains and forced him to sleep. Fu Nanli could only close his eyes and take a rest. Qasim's men came quickly, as if to show their loyalty to Wen Qiao. When dealing with barbarians, you cannot use civilized methods. Your Iban family can make trouble, but my Qasim family can make more trouble than you, and they are not afraid of trouble. When the policemen who were originally guarding the gate saw dozens of jeeps approaching in the rolling yellow sand on the horizon, they were so frightened that their legs went weak. They could no longer handle these people. If reinforcements came again, they would have no choice but to probably surrendered. More than a dozen jeeps were followed by too many buses. A total of hundreds of people got out. The leader directly told the IBAN family leader of the trouble, "Mr. Qasim sent us to negotiate with you. Give it to Ka. Mr. Sim will withdraw first to save face, and we will talk about the rest later." The common people who were instigated by the IBAN family naturally knew the Qasim family. The Qasim family was a well-known local family, and they often did charity and were very friendly to the local people. Immediately, the incited common people sided with the Qasim family. The members of the IBAN family became angry. "I advise you not to meddle in other people's business. Qasim family, are you really working for the welfare of the people, or are you using other people's hands to bring down the Fu family because the Fu family won the project you originally wanted? I hope everyone will keep their eyes open and not be taken advantage of by others. If someone from the Fu family comes forward to say this, the local people's resistance will be higher. If a prominent local figure says this, the people will be able to think rationally." Therefore, Fu Nanli slept for 2 hours. When he woke up, he received a report from Yin Chaiwu, "Mr. Fu, the troublemakers who have been waiting outside have dispersed." Fu Nanli just thought he was asleep and didn't react for a moment. "Everyone is gone." Yes, the local prominent family, the Qasim family, sent over 100 people. The local people believe in the Qasim family more. The families of the victims have also been persuaded by the Qasim people and are in the conference room. Discuss the amount of compensation. Qasim, Fu Nanli read a few words, remembering that when Wen Qiao flew to Dubai with him before, he saved a wealthy Dubai businessman who had a heart attack, and it seemed that his name was Qasim. So his Qiao helped in this incident? He looked at Wen Qiao, who smiled at him and put his arm on his shoulder. "If this problem is solved, how will Brother Nanli thank me?" Yin Chaiwu was dumbfounded. The people from the Qasim family were invited by the young master's girlfriend? How can this be? How could this little girl be so capable? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me. The boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1336. Fu Nanli lazily leaned against the wall and put his hands on her waist. "My little lucky star, just tell me, whatever you want, your boyfriend will satisfy you." "Mr. Yin, I should be under the car, not in the car." Mr. Yin hurriedly backed out and closed the door thoughtfully. Wen Qiao put his hand on his shoulder, with a smile on his lips. "How can you help your boyfriend in return?" Fu Nanli pinched her face, and the feeling was addictive. This Qasim can be regarded as repaying his kindness. You did not save him in vain. Well, when this crisis is over, we can meet with him. The IBAN family never expected that the Fu family and Qasim would actually have contact. Their work this time was in vain. The government supported the Fu family, and Qasim also supported the Fu family. They had no chance of winning, so they immediately stopped. After hearing the news, the UN family also rushed over. Outside the gate of the construction office, the young master of the UN family, Yuan Qinglang, was sitting in a Maybach. His bodyguard got out of the car and said to the bodyguard guarding the door, "Just say that the young master of the UN family is here and wants to meet Mr. Fu. Regarding the local riots, he's willing to help." Yuan Qinglang was sitting in the luxury car, a little uneasy, and lost his temper at the assistant beside him. "Why didn't you tell me about the friendship between the Fu family and the Qasim family? If I had known earlier, Fu Chuan would have come to see me. When the time comes, I will definitely help. If you don't help me, I won't help. With the support of the Qasim family, I won't have any crisis in Dubai. But now I'm fine, I offended the Fu family. The assistant felt resentful in his heart, thinking that master, you vetoed the idea of helping the Fu family. It was your decision alone. Can we have a say in it? Yuan Qinglang is getting more and more scared now. If the Fu family's railway project is completed, they will definitely have a certain influence in the United Arab Emirates, and they are on good terms with the Qasim family. Will their Yuan family be threatened? As soon as he thought of this, he hurried over to show his kindness to Fu Nanli, hoping it was not too late. The bodyguard's voice came, "Sorry, Mr. Fu is very busy and has no time to meet irrelevant people." Yuan Qinglang broke out in cold sweat on his forehead. He got out of the car and said politely to the bodyguard, "Please help me go in and say, I am Yuan Qinglang from the Yuan family. I was too busy 2 days ago. When Fu Chuan called me, I really can't get away, I've been thinking about this for the past 2 days." Two black Hummers just happened to drive out from inside. The door slowly opened, and the backseat window of the second car slowly lowered. The handsome and dignified man wore sunglasses, cold and distant, and raised his lenses indifferently. Looked at Yuan Qinglang, "Don't worry, Mr. Yuan, the matter has been resolved." Yuan Qinglang quickly apologized and said with a smile, Master Fu, I really couldn't get away the past 2 days, and I don't know the seriousness of the matter. The Iban family will definitely make things difficult for them in the future. No locals will. I'll help you deal with it, there will be a lot of trouble, and it's not good to bother Qasim all the time. Our Yuan family and the Fu family have some friendship, don't you think? Suddenly, a very pretty girl next to Fu Nanli poked her head over and gave him a cold look. "When I needed you, you declined in every possible way. Now I don't need you anymore. I'll give you one word, get out." Yuan Qinglang gritted his teeth, "Who do you think you are?" Fu Nanli held her shoulders and looked at Yuan Qinglang with a sinister expression, "Mother of the Fu family. The college entrance examination starts today. I hope that the little cuties taking the college entrance examination will feel as proud as a knight sheathing his sword when he closes the cap of his pen. Good luck with the college entrance examination. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me." Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1337. The car window slowly rose, and several Hummers left in a mighty manner. Yuan Qinglang was so angry that he kicked the tires and took a sip. What's so great about him is that he is willing to humble himself to please Fu Nanli, but he still refuses to accept his favor. Let's see if he can make some waves in Dubai. Because of Qasim, the incident calmed down quickly. Qasim also promised that he would always send people to stay at the construction site in the future. If any family here wants to cause trouble, he will settle it as soon as possible. Fu Nanli hosted a banquet for Qasim and expressed his gratitude for his help. Qasim waved his hand and said, "Dr. Wen's affairs are my own business. Don't worry, I have spoken, and no one dares to do it again, troublemaker." He also thought that when the Fu family's network of connections in Dubai was spread and their power stabilized, he would join forces with the Fu family to swallow up the Iban family, and then there would be no future troubles. Qasim finally said, "I will go to Haikan recently to let Dr. Wen treat me. I will stay there for a period of time in the future until my condition improves. Dr. Wen, my health is not good, give it to you." Wen Qiao raised his glass, "I will try my best." It was New Year's Eve when Fu Nanli and Wen Qiao returned to Haikan. Fu Nanli asked Wen Qiao to have dinner at his home on New Year's Eve. Because Wen Qiao helped the Fu family a lot this time, even the old man thought highly of her, so I want to take her back to have a New Year's Eve dinner together. Are you willing? No matter what, he still had to ask for her permission. After all, her family would also be waiting for her to have New Year's Eve dinner. Wen Qiao gestured coolly and said, I'll take Gu Xiao with me. Fu Nanli hesitated. If we mess up, the atmosphere will be tense tonight. Wen Qiao said lazily, tonight is a good time, it is also a festival. The old man has a tradition and will not get angry easily during such an important festival. Besides, am I not the new hero of your Fu family? The hero will take someone back to celebrate the new year. For dinner, the old man can't scold Gu Xiao for my sake. Wen Qiao understood Fu Nanli. He longed for brotherly love. Gu Yunzi challenged his bottom line again and again. He always treated Gu Xiao as he always did. He was really good to this younger brother. Gu Xiao was controversial outside, and the title of illegitimate son weighed him down. I have low self-esteem and am bullied everywhere. He will soon start working in society, and she hopes that before that, he can be an upright member of the Fu family. It can be regarded as a solution to Fu Nanli's inner sorrow. In the evening, several cars parked in front of the Fu family's mansion. Uncle Li went to greet them happily and came back just in time for the New Year's Eve dinner. The young master was very considerate. Fu Nanli and Wen Qiao got out of the car in front. The door of the second car opened and Gu Xiao got out. Uncle Li's expression was a little stiff. Why is this Gu Xiao here? In case the old man is angered, tonight is New Year's Eve. Is the young master so disrespectful to the old man? All three of them were wearing long coats, and all three of them were tall and had long legs. Uncle Li felt that these children walking together were really eye-catching. Entering the mansion, in the living room, the old man was swinging, and Gu Xiao ran to become a caddy again. As soon as he stretched out his hand this time, the old man noticed it. His eyes when he turned around were very cold and heartless, but Wen Qiao was keenly aware that the disgust in his eyes this time was slightly lighter than before. Fu Nanli pretended that nothing had happened. What's for the New Year's Eve dinner tonight? Aunt Rong, please introduce it and see if there's anything Gu Xiao likes to eat. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1338. Aunt Rong stood at the door of the kitchen, not daring to move. The atmosphere was tense. If the old man didn't speak, who would dare to speak rashly? Seeing that the atmosphere was deadlocked, Fu Nanli said again, Grandpa, don't you thank Xiao? What happened in Dubai this time is all due to her. Fu Huayong suppressed the cold look in his eyes several times, and finally chose to ignore Gu Xiao. After all, it was a big holiday. Nanli had just returned from a huge accident, and Wen Qiao was the hero again. They had come back after a long journey, and they couldn't let it go just because of a boy. Eradicate their achievements. It was for the sake of Nanli and Wen Qiao that they allowed him one more time. I didn't expect that this girl like you would have connections in Dubai. As soon as the old man said these words, everyone knew that Gu Xiao could stay tonight. Gu Xiao's palms became sweaty and he breathed a sigh of relief quietly. Aunt Rong's happiness is written on her face. If the young master is happy, she is happy. Wen Qiao told the story of what happened between her and Qasim in a few words, and the old man felt even more sentimental. The man who had been tough for half his life seemed to be reassured by her softness at this moment. He used to disdain her, but she put aside her prejudices and helped him treat his illness. It was the same situation with Qasim. His bodyguards forcibly expelled her on the plane. When she was sick, she could ignore such an incident. This child doesn't talk about it, and she doesn't have a strong medical qualification certificate, but she has a benevolent heart as a doctor. This soft heart wrapped under her seemingly indifferent appearance becomes even more touching. Fu Huayong shook his head and laughed at himself, wondering if he had more thoughts as he got older, but there were times when he felt that a person was good. What is the happiest moment in Gu Xiao's life? That's the hour tonight, sitting at the dinner table, having New Year's Eve dinner with his family. Although Grandpa hardly glanced at him, he just sat quietly in a corner, listening to them talking and laughing, but he was already content. After the meal, Fu Huayong sent 2 red envelopes, one to Fu Nanli and Wen Qiao, but not to Gu Xiao. Gu Xiao had no extravagant hopes. Without expectations, there would be no disappointment, so he didn't feel sad. It was snowing outside. Fu Nanli let him stay here. Gu Xiao pursed her lips. I have to go back to accompany grandma, she is alone. I had the New Year's Eve dinner here, and I still want to spend the rest of the New Year's Eve with her. Fu Nanli nodded. I'll send someone to take you back. When they walked to the door, someone called them from behind. Gu Xiao looked back and saw the elegant and beautiful Mrs. Fu. She was wearing a black cashmere sweater, a beautiful velvet skirt that reached her knees, and comfortable slippers on her feet. She was very beautiful, eyes look warm. Yamingkai put his hands behind his back, as if a red envelope suddenly appeared in front of Gu Xiao's eyes. He asked with some uncertainty, is it, for me? Yamingkai smiled, it's for you, Happy New Year. That night, Gu Xiao was sitting in the car, with heavy snow falling outside the window. He was sitting in the back seat, there was no light, clutching the red envelope tightly in his hand, crying like a child. On the other side, in the alley of Wen Qiao's house, Fu Nanli walked her back. He held a big umbrella, hugged the people around him, and walked along the long alley to the low door of his house. A New Year's gift for you. What? Wen Qiao thought he would give him a red envelope, but he saw him take out an envelope from the large pocket of his coat. Take a look. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1339. Wen Qiao took it and said, write a letter to me. When she opened it, it was an equity transfer document. She was a little confused. What is this? In the equity transfer letter, 5 points of my shares are transferred to you. Keep it well. You can also participate in the board of directors meeting in the future. Wen Qiao threw the envelope to him. I don't want this, I want a red envelope, like 6006. Fu Nanli narrowed his eyes and pinched her face. Silly girl, there will be countless 6006 here. Didn't you help me save the Dubai project? You deserve this. Wen Qiao lowered his head and said in a low voice, if I accept this, will it affect your position on the board of directors? Many people want to bring you down. You should centralize power and not disperse your shares. His big hands were warm, dry, and powerful. What's yours is mine. They all know it and don't dare to do anything to me. If they give out 5%, my shares will still be number 1, so don't worry. Wen Qiao received the most wealthy New Year's gift in history, 5 points of shares in Zhonghuan Group, and his wealth was shattered. Wen Qiao put the envelope under his pillow and slept particularly soundly with the wealth and property donated by Fu Nanli on his pillow. The Fu family has the habit of visiting the cemetery during the Lantern Festival. Wen Qiao, as the unmarried daughter-in-law, was called over by Fu Nanli, and Gu Xiao was also picked up by Fu Nanli. Mr. Fu is now turning a blind eye and letting his grandson do whatever he wants. The Fu family's private cemetery is on the southernmost mountain of Qianshui Lake. There are green pines, cypresses, and hollies all year round. Their car parked outside the cemetery and the group got out of the car. Fu Nanli and Wen Qiao supported Fu Huayong and entered the cemetery along the Bluestone Road. There are the tombstones of Fu Nanli's grandmother and some ancestors' tombstones in the cemetery. The nearest one belongs to Fu Xianyuan. At this moment, there was a cigarette butt in front of the tombstone. The cigarette butt was still burning, as if it had just been thrown here. Fu Nanli frowned slightly, focusing on the less eye-catching cigarette butt. His mother and grandfather didn't notice and placed flowers in front of the tombstone.
Uncle Lee handed Fu Huayong a handkerchief. He half-crouched in front of the tombstone and carefully wiped the cold and ruthless tombstone with slightly red eyes. Every time he came over, he would wipe the tombstone himself to commemorate the pain in his heart. Wen Qiao was brought here by Fu Nanli in a car very early. He was still in a daze, so he didn't pay attention to the inconspicuous cigarette butt in the withered grass. He focused on the sad old man. Gu Xiao stood under a pine tree, looking at the person on the tombstone, immersed in his thoughts. He had never seen this person before, but because of the blood relationship, he instinctively felt sad and couldn't help himself. When the grave sweeping was over, Fu Nanli said that he would stay for a while, and everyone else left the cemetery one after another, leaving only Wen Qiao to accompany him. In the morning, there was still mist in the cemetery, lingering around the trees. Workers trimming the grass passed by, and Fu Nanli stopped them. Besides us, is there anyone else coming to visit the graves today? The uncle nodded. Yes, that man wore a mask and a peaked cap. He didn't take anything. He said he wanted to come in to sweep the tomb. Because the old man had ordered not to block people who came to sweep the tomb, so I let him in. How tall are you and what's your body shape like? Shorter than you, young master, about 180 to 183, not fat nor thin, not as strong as you. I can tell he is a little older, 40 or 50, maybe I can't tell right. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiaxu. Chapter 1340. Wen Qiao asked him, what's wrong? Fu Nanli took her hand, quickly walked out of the cemetery, got in the car, and told Lao Hu to drive down the mountain along the road from the cemetery. What's wrong with you? Who is that person who came to sweep the grave? Fu Nanli's voice was hoarse. I suspect it's my father. Lao Hu was startled. Why did the young master suddenly start talking nonsense? Is he still awake? The car drove along the winding mountain road in circles and circles to the foot of the mountain without seeing anyone. This is the boundary of the Fu family. If outsiders want to drive in, there will be a guard handle at the foot of the mountain. He hurried back to the mansion and called the security guard from the security office to adjust the surveillance. There were no cars going up the mountain today, which meant that he walked to the cemetery from another small entrance. There are dozens of surveillance cameras on the mountain. The security team checked and found that he was not captured on any surveillance camera. This means that this person is very familiar with the surveillance distribution on the shallow lake. His father was introverted and sensitive, and had few friends in his life. If it was really his good friend who came to visit the grave, he could come in through the gate at the foot of the mountain. There is no need to be so sneaky. Maybe when they were sweeping the grave, he was hiding somewhere and watching them. It might really be him. When we went to Southeast Asia before, I saw someone who looked very similar to him. Wen Qiao knew this, but if it was him, why didn't he show up? He has never contacted you. Is his depression cured? If not, how could he live unharmed for so many years? If he was cured, how could he live unharmed for so many years? Then he shouldn't be overly sensitive. Fu Nanli's breath showed helplessness. I'm worried that if he is alive, he will not have a good life outside. Wen Qiao was infected by his emotions. Yes, his father was a young man from a wealthy family, and he was always taken care of. He was also an artist, and had no other livelihood skills except playing the violin. If he was really alive, I don't know what kind of life I live. If he is still alive, he will definitely live a good life. Don't worry, we will find him together. Wen Qiao could only comfort him in this way. In Hezai, Teresa put down the phone and said to the person who was smoking a cigar, Sir, Fu Xianyuan sneaked out again today. Yeah. Yes, it can be regarded as his irregular awakening. The original CW-1 drug was indeed not very mature. After your improvement, sir,
the current CW-7 is very mature. I want to know, this drug can make people forget. Since you want Wen Qiao to be your successor, why not just inject her with this medicine? He Ziwei's eyebrows were deep. Wen Qiao's character is too determined. No medicine will be of use to that kind of person. I want her to become my heir willingly. I want her to become a person like me. The more rational a smart person is, the easier it is to be attracted to the same kind. I think she and I are really similar in some aspects. What do you think? Teresa quickly said yes. He Ziwei laughed softly. Regarding his father's matter, Fu Nanli mobilized more people to search for it. There was no solution for a while, so he could only continue his normal life. Wen Qiao began to prepare to contact the fourth person. The first three were going well so far, so she should be able to successfully collect all the blood before the deadline. While she was looking at the information of four people, Su Ce entered her room. The college student you recruited before went to Metz Yulin Pharmaceuticals. Well, what's wrong? You have a good vision. His research has made great progress recently. Hematopoietic stem cell research. After the blood transfusion, you can transplant the bone marrow. You don't have to ask others to donate bone marrow to you. Blood donation is still possible, but bone marrow donation is too difficult. It would be better if He Yang could research it. Wen Qiao of Metza Pharmaceuticals had not been there for a while. She hired professional people to manage it, and she was happy to be the shopkeeper. Unexpectedly, a college student she randomly recruited at the beginning would now become a key factor in solving her problem. Wen Qiao took out his notebook and pointed to the information on it. The fourth journey is about to begin.